CBS News has learned Ratcliffe also delivered a message to Russia, a strong ally of Iran, that more sanctions will be coming if the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened quickly. Good news for Maine fishermen. Canadian officials have decided to remove seafood products from the retaliatory tariffs. The announcement came last night from Canada's Department of Finance. The change comes as Canadian officials said they made select adjustments after receiving feedback about the economic harm it would impose. Earlier this week, in response to the 50% tariffs on some Canadian goods imposed by the Trump administration, Canada announced retaliatory tariffs on more than $20 billion worth of American imports. That included a 25% tariff on lobster. According to the Maine Lobstermen's Association, Canada purchases about half of Maine lobster caught during the fall fishing season. And the Maine Lobstermen's Association released the following statement today, saying in part, "We appreciate Canada's decision to listen to the concerns raised by the seafood industry and remove seafood from these tariffs. We urge both governments to continue protecting the long-standing tariff-free trade in lobster that benefits fishermen, businesses, and coastal communities throughout North America." Meanwhile, Senator Susan Collins also releasing a statement saying, quote, "These tariffs would have caused tremendous harm to Maine's lobstermen, disrupting one of their most important markets during the fall fishing season. I urge the U.S. to respond to this show of good faith from our Canadian friends by returning to the negotiating table and working to amicably resolve this trade dispute," unquote. We caught up with Senator Angus King as well today.
This Canadian tariff thing, which is totally unnecessary, makes no sense. Nobody understands why the president's doing this, and it's going to have a significant impact in Maine. Now, with lobsters, because the Canadian government backed off on that particular product, we're okay. But there's going to be other impacts here in Maine, and it's, as I say, it's unnecessary. And the Wall Street Journal is not known as a liberal newspaper, but they said this is the dumbest trade war in history.
King speculated the Canadian fishing industry put pressure on their government as a motivator in this reversal of course.